Hello, we're live. So exciting. How are you guys? Please let me know in the comments in the chat that you can hear me and that you can see me so that I know I'm not talking to myself. Don't mind. Today, thanks. Today is going to be a super quick one. I know that usually our webinars for about an hour and we have like a very set way that it works, but I'm hoping to do something a bit different this time. Sorry, I lost my voice a few weeks ago and I'm still recovering. Thanks everyone. Thank MJ and Gabrielle and Douglas and Foon and Dee and Dave. You guys are awesome. Hi, Philip. So as I was saying, I'd like to do like a super intense, quick webinar. Today's the first one. I'm literally going to teach you something in like 15, 20 minutes. And it's more of a guidelines that I follow when I choose images, and I'll get into that in a second. And then I'm going to let you ask your questions. It could go on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes more, whatever you guys want. But it really is open hours just for you guys. So I'm going to pick a topic and every 2 weeks have a 20 minutes, 15 minutes intense kind of workshop or teach you something and then let you ask questions. So that's the goal. Today I'm talking about images. I get a lot of questions about images. They are so important. I'll get into that in a minute why. But with my work and with everything that I've been doing for many years now, I find that images, choosing the right hero image for your landing page, for your website, for your ad are so imperative for conversions. That's going to be the first thing that grabs your prospect's attention. So you really want to make sure that you are doing it correctly. Let me start by sharing my screen, and I'm going to make sure that I can see it. Let's see. Sharing my screen. Okay, Inception. Fantastic. And there we go. Now, on my phone, I'm going to open the chat because it wasn't smart enough to show it in a different way. Let's see. Okay, guys. So hopefully you can see my screen. Let me know in the chat that that's working and that you're seeing the right side of the screen. Hopefully that's good. Awesome. Thank you, MJ. Okay, so let's get started. So I guess, wait, actually, you know what? Let me turn off camera because otherwise we're going to have all these issues with slowing things down. Okay, now it's going to work better. That is true. That is not, there's no image on my slide, Scott. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, we're talking about landing pages and websites, so whatever. Let's see. Basically, I'm going to be talking about images, right? So on average, we see between 400 and 10,000 messages a day. I think we're constantly bombarded with just the people trying to call us and contact us and trying to advertise to us and texting us and stuff. So it really is very hard for us to focus on one thing. And this is probably one of the main reasons potential customers easily and almost automatically navigate from one site to another without giving us much of a thought for the page that they actually just visited. You see, as consumers, we kind of move quickly from one competitor to another until something clicks in our brain, right? Until something catches our attention, because we're constantly seeing everything. Like everyone's trying to talk to us. Everyone's trying to find that what's in it for me, the value. Why should I stop everything that I'm doing right now and listen to you? Now, copy is imperative. Copy is essential for success, But really, at the end of the day, the image that you're using, that's going to be the number one thing that's going to stop people to just like take it in for a second. Most landing pages actually show an image of the product. And what I mean by image of the product is basically either a screenshot of your product, a photo of the tool that you're selling or the solution that you're selling, maybe a photo of someone using the solution. But I am trying to definitely change that. So we've ran countless tests proving time and time again that value wins almost every time. So instead of showing a photo or an image of the product or the solution, it is so much better to show value. Let me show you what I mean. So for example, this company provides an all-in-one solution for creating birthday and party invitations. The original landing page features images of the different templates available, and it's a very product-focused headline, right? Custom online invitations in minutes, very, very kind of product-oriented. You can see it's actually a very, it's a regular landing page. It has a nice call to action. It has a few images. It's got that headline over there, but it's all about the product, and so are the images. And this is something that we tried to change. So we did our entire methodology and research. I'm not going to get into that today, but it's all about the emotion. And this was a variation that we created. Actually, we created quite a few variations. This was the most successful one. So the variation we created kind of visualized the party scene for our potential customers, utilizing different colors to enhance certain feelings, so color psychology. We have an image of a dog in the park, a picnic basket, there's wine there. And this variation really focused on helping people envision the perfect party that they're going to have. And essentially, a great party starts with a great invitation, and that's what it's about. Now, the interesting thing here is that results were amazing. We got a 65% uplift in purchased subscriptions. So I'm not just talking about people that downloaded the product or people that implemented the product or even created invitations. I'm talking about people that paid for an annual subscription, because you couldn't pay for a one-time when we were doing this. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, of taking it away from the photos of your product, taking it away from speaking about yourself, making it about the pricing or the features or what your product or your solution looks like, and making it more about the customer. Now, even this visual here of how it works is something that is there to put the customer at ease and make them feel that it is so much easier and simple to do than it might actually be. And the idea here is that we're trying to show value. There are so many products out there that help you create invitations. So our goal was definitely to make you feel comfortable in doing that. And kind of when you come onto the website, to feel that you know that this is the best product for you. And instead of showing you what the templates are, which aren't really interesting, we showed you the value of what you could create. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I'm just going to show you basically a list of my checklist of how I choose images. So first, just before we get started, it's really important to do your research before choosing an image. And what I mean by that is that you can't make assumptions about what you think is the value. You can't make assumptions about what you think people should see. You need to speak to people. You need to actually understand the data and what's happening. You need to know the story. So I use heat maps to really kind of understand what people are doing. What are they clicking on? What are they looking at? I look at scroll maps. I look at where people are looking on the page itself. I do surveys, I do interviews, I do competitive research, and I do stages of awareness. I'll probably get into each one of these in a different webinar of how I do each one. Stages of awareness is one of my favorite. I do a quick webinar on that too. But essentially, if you really want to know and find that value that you should be portraying on the page, you have to do all this. You have to speak to customers. You have to talk to them, ask them the right questions, and get into their minds. You have to ask them the right questions. You have to do interviews. You have to do competitor research. Not necessarily just copying from them, but looking at what other people are doing to understand the value that they are proposing. So these are kind of the first things you want to do before choosing an image. But say you've done this, say you have, chosen, you've done all the research, you now know the value that the customer is looking for. Here's how, here are the 6 rules that I follow for choosing high converting images. And this is going to be pretty quick, and then you guys can just like dive in and ask me questions. I can see people are kind of commenting in the chat, so I'll definitely answer those. So number 1 is use real, relatable, and authentic images. Now, a successful image is one that your customers can relate to. This can be either by seeing themselves in the image or someone they want to be like. Someone that reflects their challenges, their values, or someone they want to connect with. So it's not a photo of themselves, but they need to see themselves in the image. Use authentic images of people and avoid ones that clearly look like stock photos, like this one here. It's bought, obviously this is a stock photo. It is so obvious. You know you're going to see this on other pages. Best case scenario, if I was you, I'd use real images of your customers or your team. Now, I know that that's really hard to ask. Not everyone can do a photo shoot, and get their customers on camera or the team on camera. But if you can't do that, then try and choose your images wisely. I mean, a quick Google images search can show you how many companies are already using that image. So I'd like you to ask yourself, is this image authentic? Will my customers relate to it? Or does it look like, in this case, this is a bad image, this is a stock photo? One of my favorite websites to use to find authentic images is actually Unsplash. I don't know if you guys have tried it out, but it's a great place to just get inspiration for photos and images. It's as AN, sorry, I don't know your full name, but as AN says here, it's sometimes it's a budget constraint. You don't really have the money to put into, a photo shoot, but maybe even reaching out to your customers or top clients and saying, do you mind sending a good photo of yourself? Many people like to be featured in these kind of things. I've done amazingly well with photos of actual customers and clients and a testimonial. And I'll show you an example. This is Gusto. They, on the other hand, have an image of this woman sitting in front of her desk and smiling. Now, I don't really know if this is an authentic image, or if it's a real photo of an HR person or a stock photo, but it feels real. Do you guys, let me know in the chat, do you see the difference between this and this? Like, it feels real, and there's a connection between the image and the headline, right? So for HR people who do everything, these people really understand who they are, who their customer is, and they're showing this type of person within their image. Now, as Chris says, maybe that is an actress, maybe it's someone that everyone knows, but it's someone that they pay, they took the time to show someone authentic, someone that looks authentic, and I think people can relate to. So, she feels welcoming, someone you might want to meet, someone you might want to talk to. And I think this is the difference between an authentic image that you can relate to as a target audience versus images that look nice and have a cool composition. MailChimp's new homepage, I don't have that in here. It's just, I'm kind of disappointed in it. Like, you can see that it's a stock photo. There's like really weird illustrations on it. I don't get it. I don't feel that it's connecting with their target audience, but they are a very big brand that allow themselves to do these kind of things. So again, I'm sure there's things that they could do, Gusto, to optimize these images, as Scott says, but it's so much, there's such a big difference between this and this, right? Okay, number 2, reduce visual noise. So look at this image, drives me nuts. As you've seen, our images capture most of the attentive mind of our landing page visitor. Okay, that's the first thing people see, and it's what determines if they will hang around and take a few more seconds to read and understand your offer. So this means that other than choosing a good strategic image, you also need to make sure that you're reducing the noise it creates so it doesn't have a negative effect. Okay, we need to make sure that it's easy for customers to quickly see what's in it for them and assess your services. So, it's, I mean, look at this image. You can't even read the text. There's a lot going on here. I'm not really sure what's going on. There's like 3 calls to action. So that obviously is a huge problem that I would, stay away from. But there's so much noise, right? And then like, if you look at this, a completely new model for talent development. Guys, this is so noisy. There's like 5 different people in this image. None of them are looking at anything. It's unrelated to anything. It's hard to read the text. There's so many things on the page too. So like there's books and there's like a screen it's just so many colors and so many things going on. So even when you do choose a good strategic image, you really need to choose something that doesn't create as much noise as this one would. So there's actually 3 rules to that. There's high contrast between the image and the page content. 2, photo, make sure that it's distraction clean, so there's no distraction going on, and consider the colors you use. I actually only like to use top 2-3 colors of each image, just so it is, understood that these are the things that stand out. Chris says, oof, that's exactly how the hero image on my homepage looks like. White text and far too busy image. Great. So, I mean, I'm so happy that you know this now and that you can maybe change it around. I mean, sometimes these people, what they did is they made the image a bit darker so that you could see the text on it. But seriously, guys, think about how you can reduce the noise, remove all the stuff that doesn't need to be here, and only use the things that make sense. Okay, rule number 3, because as usual, I'm over time. So use images as directional cues. Our main image is there to create a certain atmosphere and feeling and value, but it's also there to navigate the customer in the right direction and point them towards the next step. So for you guys, it might be subscribing, downloading something, maybe reading something, whatever it is. You need to make sure that you're using the image to direct people's attention. You'll mostly notice this actually within products themselves, that the same color repeats itself. So the call to action is always in the same color. Background colors are always the same because people need to see the color and immediately know what they need to do. And the same thing is with images. So I like this kind of look because they've got the pens and the computer and everything around the call to action. So it really does give you a sense that the call to action is the most important part here. Another cool way that's really known, getting the actual hero image to look at the call to action. I know it's cliche, but it works. Also arrows work, but I like the idea of having your hero image support the call to action. It's so imperative and works really well. Okay, rule number 4, avoid carousels and autoplay videos. I know it's tempting, but if you're using a carousel, it's probably because you just can't commit to like one image on your page. I am really anti carousels. They almost always reduce conversion rates. I mean, I'm really against best practices and I don't believe in them, but guys, I've tested this so many times. Carousels, they grab your customer's attention. People spend more time clicking those arrows and moving between images than actually taking the action that they're supposed to. So please remove the carousels. And even if it looks really cool, and even if GoPro does it, do not use autoplay videos on your landing pages or homepage, because instead of converting, people are watching that stuff move. And let's go back to what we said before, 4,000 to 10,000 messages a day. We are all over the place. We need someone to tell us what to do. We need that cognitive assistance to say, hey, Talia, welcome. Click this button. It's right for you. Instead of all this stuff that's going on here, okay? So I know it's tempting, especially in e-commerce, but do not use carousels. A/B test that. That's what A/B testing is for. Okay. Number 5, mobile. Okay. I mean, this in itself is just like a huge presentation, and I'll probably do another webinar just on mobile for you guys. But, on mobile, images, they tend to look stretched. they take too long to load. Sometimes they completely dominate the page and like completely take it over. And sometimes they move all of your content below the fold and you can't see anything, or they just don't make sense because it looks good on desktop, but then it doesn't make any sense on mobile. So anytime you launch a landing page or your website or anything, don't forget to QA mobile. I'm not even going to get into the fact that you should probably design mobile first and then only adapt it to desktop, because I know that's a hard thing to ask for most people. But guys, mobile matters more than desktop. QA it. Just get people to look at the photo and the image that you're using. Is it taking up all the space? Is it stretched? Is it taking too long to load? A simple, fix can decrease the loading time and increase your conversions. So that was number 5. Number 6, and I'm almost finished, is A/B test your image strategy. Okay, as I said, vast majority of businesses use the image of their solution on the landing page, or like this company did, they use a photo of someone using the product. Test it. If you have a hard time convincing people in your company to change the value proposition of the photo and the image, and people just want you to show a screenshot of the product, then test it. Here's the image that we did, and we did an A/B test. We saw, I think it was 70% increase. I can't really remember the exact numbers. Doesn't really matter. The goal here is to understand that over here we were showing the image, over here we were showing the value proposition. So this is a company that helps you back up all of your data and keep it safe. We took it to the emotional place of saving all your memories because they're precious. And we saw 70+ increase. So again, so imperative, A/B test everything if you can. If you don't have enough traffic or conversions, and we'll talk about that in a second, then don't A/B test it, but test it over time. So yeah, those are the 6 bullet points, the 6 rules that I follow. Really simple, really quickly. If you want to download more resources on this, you can go on to this new page that we have with all our resources. But I think that covers it. And as I said, it's going to be quick. Let me see. I'm back. Can you see me? Okay. So I know that was super quick. I didn't get to read everything of all your questions. So guys, shoot me your questions. Tell me, what are your biggest, issues with choosing an image for your landing page or for your website? Like, what is the thing that comes up that you're worried about? And I'm going to quickly go back and chat and see if anyone says. And Anne says, the problem I have thus far is, wait, no, that's not about the presentation. High quality photo with bad posing will probably score lower on trustworthiness. That's right, D. Chris, you mentioned that your website looks like one of the images that I showed. So that's cool, because now you have something to optimize. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Scott says, if there are people in an image, is it better to have them at least somewhat looking at you at the site visitor because of the mirroring effect? Okay, great question. So with people, when you have them on your landing page, one of the things that you want to make sure is, A, don't have them with their back to you. So like looking away, that's really distracting and even kind of annihilating, if that's the right word. Don't have people looking directly at you because that puts people off, but you can have them looking towards a certain direction, maybe kind of half looking, maybe even tilting their head. Don't have people like directly looking at you because that's distracting. But yeah, that's kind of, the main thing about that. Steve says that he likes the guy looking right at the CTA. Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. It's a really cool technique that companies use. I've seen quite a few use them. You can test it. There's also the, hey, I'm pointing at the button. It's kind of cliche. It works though. Foon says, I'm a newbie, so I appreciate your help. You're welcome, Foon. Let's see. Scott says the JavaScript and jQuery programmers will be disappointed to hear you don't like carousels. Well, I'm not going to be rude, but no, bye. Let's see. what have we got here? So, can you start over? Iran says, no, I can't. Oh, hi, Iran. I think you were at the presentation today. You were at the conference today. Cool. So no, but there will be a replay. I'll send a link to you guys. Where am I? I've lost things. Chris, I'd be really curious to dig more into the noisy images thing. Our team's designer has a bit of a preference for low contrast text on images. Okay, is there any kind of data that you can share so that I can convince them? Well, I need to look into that, but there's a few things to, just kind of prove. So just getting a bunch of people that don't know your website and getting them to just take the 5-second test will usually help you to identify if people can read your content. That's like the simplest thing. Use heat maps to see what people are doing. Some people try to highlight the text because they can't see it. So that's a cool way. And I'll look for some of the just case studies that I've done too and share with you guys about the importance of the contrast. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to understand that your text needs to be read. And I mean, I know people tell you to reduce copy because people don't read, but that's not true. People do read if you give them a reason to read, if you make it about them, and if you make it easy to read. So take the time to do that, okay? Am I missing thing? Steve says, can you give some more arguments against autoplay videos so I can pass it along to my bosses? Yes, so cognitive biases, as I was saying before, we see between 4,000 to 10,000 messages a day, so our brains are constantly running. Think about it this way, everyone's running towards personalization, right? One message to the right person. Why is everyone running to personalization? Because people want that one message for them. When you welcome them on a landing page or a home page that has a video running, you've got them for about 3 seconds, okay? So today, 60% of your website visitors expect you to load a website in under 3 seconds. Now, I know that speed, page speed is kind of a technical thing that people look at, but if you think about it, it's a cognitive thing. Why can't people just sit there and wait for the website to load? Because we have no patience. We're not going to sit there and wait for you to persuade me that you're worth my while and my time. Same with videos. You have an autoplay video that's running on your website because it's the cool thing to do. And meantime, they're just either watching the video or they're out of there. You haven't convinced them. An autoplay video doesn't convince anyone of anything. It just makes you look cool. So I'd skip it. Megan, the problem I struggle with is my bosses want every different thing we do to be included in one small space. Yeah, creates the noisy, heavy hero images. I know it's a problem. Actually, heat maps will be very helpful for you with that, Megan. I know that people seem to think that within the hero image, like I'd say the top part of the funnel, everyone tries to cram everything into that part because they have to say everything. The one way I like to look at it, and I know we're probably going to go over time, so if you guys can stay, then great. And if not, we're going to have the recording. I like to look at it as a teaser. Okay, so I know that like the hard sale companies are going to say, have your call to action in your form above the fold and have one image and get everyone to convert immediately. And you have to say everything above the fold. But I don't believe in that. I think that you need to tease people. You need to show them the value within 3 seconds. Okay, so they don't bounce. And your only goal is to capture their attention and make them want to read more. So above the top of the funnel, you basically want to make it about them. You want to show that value to them. You want to make sure that they understand what's in it for them. And then they will read on and understand what's in it for them, what your product's about, what features you have, what your pricing is like. But first, capture their attention. So too many hero images, too many screenshots of stuff, that's not going to do it. It's not going to cut it. They're just going to randomly just move on, navigate to the next website. Okay. So, another thing to think about it is how we go shopping. I spoke about this a few weeks ago. Think about when you go shopping in a supermarket, you naturally gravitate to the same things every time, right? You don't really think about what you're doing. And it's the same. We kind of naturally just gravitate through websites and we kind of, buy. Think about the amount of tabs that you have open. What makes you stay on a tab? What makes you stay on a landing page and not, oh, I got a message, so goodbye. So these are the things that need to be really clear for people. I have a list of 100 cognitive biases on my website. You can download it and start looking into those, and maybe that will help you sell it to your team, Megan. Let's see. Oh, wow, there's so many questions. I'm not going to be able to answer them. I'm so sorry. Chris, we're working on getting heat maps set up for Q1. I'll try and get some 5-second test runs. Awesome. Perfect. Let's see. Anne, sorry, Yvonne says, attempting to incorporate all team input into the creation of landing page, a camel and a horse designed by committee. I saw a question. Any data or evidence on using illustrations versus photographic image by Kathy? You know, it really is about your customer. There isn't like a one thing. I think Intercom does a really good job. They do illustrations and also show the value. So sometimes it's easier to do illustrations, but they need to be valuable illustrations. They need to show you the outcome. It's usually easier to show a video or an image of the value rather than illustrations. If you have a good designer that knows how to do that, then definitely go for an illustration. But I mean, I think there isn't just a one way to rule them all. Sometimes illustrations work better. Sometimes images work better. I definitely test it if you can, but try and stay away from illustrations that usually what they are is just like, this is what our product looks like. Here's what you can do in it. Try and stay away from that. Adrian asks, I'd be interested to know what you observe in differences between the use of studio photography versus lifestyle outdoors for personal brands. Wow, that's a whole topic on itself, but it really depends on your target audience as usual. When it's a personal brand, so for me, I've done like photo shoots, but I've also done just regular shoots of my mobile phone where I'll send photos to people like in my emails of stuff that I just did. I think it really depends on the medium that you're using, and it also depends on what you're trying to promote. When it's a self-brand, many times just an image taken with your phone is a really cool way to portray personalize it. So photography works really well, but when you're doing professional photography, you also have to have the guidelines. So how do people need to look like? Think about Dove. They did professional photography with women from all over the world, but it doesn't look, I can't explain, it doesn't look like flashy, right? It looks so casual. Women in white tees, no makeup, just themselves. And that's kind of where you want to take it to. You understand your target audience, and then you can show them. Now, if you are your target audience, which you're not usually, but if you are and you can portray yourself there, that's great. But many times that isn't the option, so photography is a great way to go for it. I'm going to have to drink. Scott, do you compress your image files? Recommend software for it? I do compress every image that I upload to my website. Tiny PNG, tiny.png, I think it is. Ugh, I can't remember the name. I'll find it. But I'm sure there's so much better tools for that. But definitely for mobile, shrink your photos. What am I missing? It's cool that you guys are answering each other. I'm so happy about that. Okay, I think I've answered everyone's questions. We're over time. I'm so sorry. Let's do this. I will be sending you the link to this presentation. Send me your questions back and I will answer them. I'm very, very happy to do that. Thank you, Dee, for sharing the link for tinypng.com. So there's so many interesting questions here. Michael asks about 6 different services that he has. Wish I had some more time. Shoot me those questions and I will do my best to answer them. I'm going to upload this video to the blog with a transcript and I'll answer all your questions. Guys, thank you so much for your time, for taking the time. If it's your morning, if it's your evening like myself. You're great. It's so great speaking to you and for taking the time to just ask me questions. If you want me to talk about something specific, a topic that you care about, let me know. Email me. Bye. Have a great evening or a day. Bye.